Hey guys, this is Brian Zbierek, one of the founders and leaders with the EBV Launchpad, and today we're joined with the CEO of Movley, an inspection and third-party quality control company that we have partnered up with, and they are actually sponsoring our project. And today we're going to be going over the inspection that their company actually did, came into the facility for us, and really going to be going through the report and helping you understand, what to look for, the importance of why this is needed in the first place, and kind of go from there. But we're very, very excited because this inspection means production is done. And that means we're going to be able to ship this product out and really get the ball rolling and get this product in front of you. We also have one of our other leaders, Clara, here, who has been working directly with the inspection team to be able to do this. So I'll have her kind of share little tidbits where she sees value, and we'll kind of go from there. But if you maybe want to introduce yourself, for one, and then for two, let's go ahead and share screen, go through the report, and kind of keep it more of like a flowy conversation and really just bang ideas off of each other.
Yeah, let's do it. So, hey guys, I'm Sajak, CEO and founder of Movley. So before Movley, I ran my own Amazon brand. We grew to about 2 million a year on Amazon, sold in a number of retail stores as well. And we were in the cell phone accessories, electronic space, and whatnot. So I ran into a lot of supply chain quality control problems when I was running my last business, and I was looking into quality control providers, inspection companies, and we worked with a bunch of them, and we just didn't have the best results, and it wasn't a really smooth or great experience. And that's why I actually started Movley, to just make it a much better experience for other sellers. Just a quick word about Movley. We are basically a modern quality control provider for sellers. You can come in, we integrate with your Amazon store, your Shopify store. We store all your product assets, SKUs, packaging information, etc. And we just make it really simple and easy to go book inspections. You can just hit book inspection, enter in a few details, and then manage the entire process in our platform. And we're a tech company at the end of the day, so we're adding new things on our software every single day. We're venture backed, and very excited to be partnering with EBT and Brian and Clara here to show you a little bit about the inspection and how we kind of work. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to pull up the inspection report here. And Clara, feel free to interrupt me anytime, and just let me know if you have any tidbits or something you want to ask questions about or point out. But typically, when you get an inspection report from Movley, first we send you this PDF, which in this case is about 37 pages, and this is the text report. In addition to this, in the zip file, you'll also have photos. So you can see all the original photos in this report as well in full definition. And we also have videos. So in this report, I can pull up some of the videos. They're still loading here. But those videos, it looks like we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 videos on this inspection, which walk through different aspects of the product, give you a good product overview, and walk you through the process. Now this here specifically, we did a pre-shipment inspection. Pre-shipment inspection is done after the products are produced, at least 100% production, and typically at least 80% packed. And the pre-shipment inspection, to give you some context on when the points of inspection, there's a pre-production inspection, which is on the raw materials before the products are actually manufactured. There's a mid-production inspection, which is about 20 to 80% of goods completion, which can check the products, make sure the products are produced well before they go on to the next production stage, or before more units are produced. And then there's a pre-shipment inspection, which checks the final units, the packaging, make sure everything's in a good place. And then lastly, there's a container loading inspection, which is to make sure the container is loaded properly and the quantities are all in the container. If you're doing like full truckload type containers, which for most of you guys, you probably won't be just yet, soon. So that one's not too much of an issue right now. But as far as like number of inspections, best in class inspection process is to do multiple inspections per order. But we recommend at the very least just doing at least a pre-shipment inspection every single order. These go for about $300. And when you're spending, thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars or more on manufacturing, spending $300 every order just to avoid a whole world of pain if something was to go wrong or the supplier was to change staff or raw materials, etc. For any reason, whether they're changing their team or so there was a mistake or whatever, it just makes a lot of sense. And that's why every top brand generally will be doing inspections on almost every shipment usually. So yeah, let's go ahead and go down the report. So this is the front page. We have some disclaimers, table of contents. So this is the general information here. This is the inspection number, the product. Here's the inspector that actually went on site. You can see them in the uniform, and as well as the factory head. You can see who on the team worked on this inspection. And here is the result summary. Now, this inspection is overall as client decision required, and that's because this is a new product. So if we have new information or new results that we may not know how to market as a pass or a fail, we leave it up to you as a customer to decide. So, all this kind of stuff can be straightened out for the future, so then we can give you a more accurate pass or fail. But our goal here is to just document all this information for you. There's also a factory overview in our inspection reports, and this is something very unique to Movley, where we will actually look at your factory, see who they are, record some details, figure out, when they got incorporated, as well as their location, their manager, revenue, number of employees, if they're willing to share it. So in this case, it doesn't look like the factory is willing to share it, business license, and things like that. And we're able to get all that information, and we put that in here for you. So you can get a little pulse on your factory to see, okay, hey, has there been any major changes? And who is the supplier that I'm working with. Now, once we scroll past that, this is the reference sample section. So if you send a reference sample to the inspector or to the factory that you want us to use during the inspection, we would make some notes over here, as well as collect samples if you want us to ship samples to you. Here's the included videos. So this one, here's like the 4 different types of videos that we had. So there's product overview video, product tests. For each product test, there'll be a video, carton drop tests, and also carton packing. And we can actually go through all the videos here in just a second to walk through some of those. This is the purchase order. Let's go ahead. So first section here is quantity. In terms of the total order quantity, there were 1,000 units. All 1,000 units were available, and they were all finished and unpacked, meaning there was no packaging, I believe, at the time of shipment here. Here's the order details. Here's the material. There's colors, presence of a logo, and product dimensions and weight. So there was no expected weight, but you can see there's all the units are about 1.5 kg approximately. And there was also dimensions of 40, 40, 30. And all of these dimensions came out to 41.5 by 31 by 39. So very similar to the expected dimensions. Now here is the product overview. So these photos here are just to kind of give you an overview of the product from different angles. You can see what one of the units look like from the production run. And we have product packaging. There was no packaging in for this order, so we didn't check anything here. But typically we look at artwork design, we look at inner packaging, like how the product is supposed to be packaged, are there inserts inside the product, color and printing quality, if there's a country of origin mark, barcodes. You'd also scan the barcodes to make sure they're scannable. So when they're received by your 3PL, like Amazon or elsewhere, then they'd be able to check that, as well as inserts and things like that. Also, you'd get photos and dimensions of the product within the packaging. We also checked the shipping cartons. So in this case, it was not packaged in shipping cartons. So we don't really have any additional information here. But this is typically a very important section, especially when you're shipping directly into Amazon or you're shipping directly into a 3PL, because you really want to make sure your shipping cartons are good. For example, one of the things we typically do is a carton drop test. And this is to make sure that the cartons can actually survive general day-to-day shipping conditions, and they're not going to get damaged in shipment, as well as checking carton labels and things like that. Now here's the workmanship section. So on this section here, we actually check the product. So in this case, it's 80 units that were checked. And out of those units, there were 5 major defects allowed, 7 minor defects allowed, 0 critical defects allowed. So these are based on workmanship AQL ratios. AQL stands for acceptable quality limit. So we actually base this on a statistical model. So our goal here is to actually determine, okay, hey, what's an acceptable allowable quantity before it's not shippable. So typically the ratio is 2.5 for major, 4 for minor. These are statistical numbers, so no need to kind of think about it too much. But what's important to note is a critical defect we define as something that is like a major functional flaw in the product. A major defect is something that could constitute a return. So someone would want to return the product over it because it's a little bit significant. And a minor defect is usually something like that's very small, so it's not a super big deal, but it still needs to be controlled because we can't just have every unit having the same issues. So if we take a look at the defect list, these are the potential defects that were listed. And it looks like the inspector found issues with loose threads, scratches, and poor sewing. And there's some photos right here. So every defect has a photo. So you can see, here's the scratches that were done. Here's the thread ends being loose and additional threads being loose here. And all that information is here. And there's also a product test section here, which goes through all the different product tests. So these are individual instructions you can provide to our team that we will have the inspector do up to your specifications. And this is where you'll see a lot of the videos as well. But in addition to that, this is also stuff that we'll recommend. So a lot of these functionality tests we will put in place. We have a team of quality engineers that will essentially look at your product and add a number of inspection tests for you to do, for the inspector to do based on your product. And you can also go back and forth with us and ask us for help if you have specific instructions you want to look for or specific issues you're worried about, and you want us to help you build tests for those issues. But you can see here, all these units passed. They did a zipper test, stitching durability test, shelf stability. This one is pending, but we lined up looks like they lined up a bunch of items there and put in the weight on the product.
Nice.
There's a zipper safety test, a mesh integrity test, hook strength test, zipper failure test, a loading capacity test, and a material tear test. And there's also videos on exactly how all of these were conducted, just to make sure there was no issues. And I'm actually, my monitor is 50 inches, so I'm trying to see what's the best way to share this. But I can show one of the videos at a time.
Sounds good. I thought that was extremely valuable for a couple different reasons. A lot of education, especially for those new people listening to this video right now that aren't familiar with inspections and the importance of it. I think this really goes to show the quality in which Movley actually goes into to be able to do this. I mean, even those tests in that bottom portion alone, we had given you a couple, but you guys took the initiative to, based off your experience, these are some additional tests that we think is very important for you guys to actually include in order for us to inspect it. So extremely valuable stuff for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of our customers actually come to us and they're like, hey, I didn't think I really needed inspections. Then, I talked to some mentors or I talked to some advisors and they're like, you should really be doing inspections on every order. And then they start working with us and they go through the inspection process. And what you'll notice is, it's not like, your first 5 inspections, let's say they pass, normally, typically on the first 1 or 2 inspections, you'll run into issues, especially with new products, new suppliers. If things are unclear, for example, product specs. But say you have no issues for 5 orders. On the 6th order, you change the packaging and the supplier forgot to change the packaging. Yeah. That's the issue that happens all the time. Or on the 7th order, the supplier changes their production staff a little bit and, the product quality is not as good, or there's a lot more loose threads or a lot of, problems. So at the end of the day, we see inspections fail very inconsistently. It's not like there's a bunch of inspections fail and then we see like 20 pass and then like 2 years later there's an inspection that fails. It's usually pretty intermittent and very randomized that you'll see an inspection fail. Like even this inspection came pretty close to the workmanship AQL. And where it's really important to kind of just like keep this in mind is, of course, like big major issues like the materials are different or the product doesn't look as per the photos and things like that, which happens unfortunately from time to time. But also just kind of keeping accountability with the supplier, like, hey, we need you to keep your staff on top of this, because if they're not on top of this, we're not going to be able to, we're going to end up with returns and negative reviews and issues on Amazon. So typically we've seen most of our customers like take a lot of this information that we find, a lot of the information they get from their customers, recycle it into their product development process. And the product gets better and better and better over time. But these inspection reports at the end of the day, pretty inexpensive and, really gives you that confidence that you're not going to run into problems when you get your products, 60 days later.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more on the point of continuous improvement. I think if you're not doing that with your product, then you're truly scratching the surface in my eyes. I mean, let alone like taking a look at those, like we've had one sample. Now we're seeing tons of the products being produced at scale. One sample versus a scale of production, quality and workmanship, it will naturally be less and less. But I can see a lot of changes that we'll probably make on the second iteration just by looking at the flimsiness of certain things. And your goal is just to always serve your customer better and better and better. And I think this is that first opportunity for us to already get into our suppliers' ear of like, we see this commonly over a lot of products now. Let's make sure that we include this on our next order. And we're already getting in their ears about that.
Yeah, and in addition to just like the peace of mind and the sleep you get from just knowing that your products are going to be good, it's huge for accountability because like it just tells the supplier like, hey, look, we're listening. We really care about quality. It adds a level of professionalism to your business because all major importers will be doing inspections on basically every shipment. So when it shows that you're following the process and you're going through that, it shows the supplier as well that you're educated, not to pull a fast one on you.
Mhm.
And then make sure that they're paying extra attention to your orders to make sure they're manufactured well, because it's very easy to drop a production step to save a little bit of money, or
100%.
change something around, if customer's not going to notice. And it happens all the time, and that's why you'll run into products all the time. You'll buy from stores and you'll be like, wow, this is so crap, like how do they sell this here? And
Yeah,
it's because when they originally got it, it was fine, and it just they didn't have the right accountability in place. But
absolutely.
here's like one of the videos. I'm gonna mute this just so not blinding this, but this is what the factory looks like. So this is the factory overview video. I'm gonna go ahead and close this. I'll open up the next video. And this video here is this is one of the tests on the product. So they're showing like we record videos on 1 unit of each test to show how the test is done. So this is like the initial test, like this one of the zipper functionality tests. So you can see how it was done, and they're checking all the zippers to make sure all the zippers are opening and closing appropriately, and they're able to do that at speed. And this is the third video here. This is the stitching test. They're testing the stitching, just making sure that the stitching is good. And the reason we also have these videos is, if there's anything that, the inspector did right or did wrong, especially if they did something wrong,
Mhm.
now you can call it out and say, hey, we want to improve this for next time or whatever. Versus if you don't have these videos, you don't look through them, you don't really know what the inspector does. So it's hard to figure out when, the inspector is not doing something right.
Absolutely.
So I think this is the weight loading test. So loading up the product, just making sure it works, and then just picking it up.
Nice. That thing is stuffed. I love it.
Yeah.
And what
And
we'll do for the people that are listening, we're actually gonna we'll edit in some of these videos into the actual edit of the video, so you'll see these in quality and kind of see the importance of this really.
yeah, that'd probably be better than me
I
going
don't know.
through it.
It's good that you're showing it because that way you could talk through things, but we'll also do a little accumulation of all the videos. And now you can kind of see the quality in which Movley as well goes in and the care that they have when it comes to actually inspecting your product. You don't want to see this as a compliant task. You want to see it as a beneficial task, something that actually provides benefit to you, because the last thing you want when you don't have feet in China, the last thing you want, the last thing that we want is to send all of our product in, and Amazon being a very social proof driven market is to get a crap load of negative reviews, and you just jeopardize what is a very valuable product. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just give a quick download about like how the process works and maybe how we're different.
yeah.
It's like a comparison chart we just put together in terms of like how like the process typically works. So whether you work with us or not, this is just some things to look out for when you're working and choosing an inspection company. But typically what the standard process for inspection companies is when you go through their website, they'll ask you like 3 to 4 questions about your product or business. They'll be like, hey, what's your supplier? Give us your product, date, any additional information. It's like a text box, and that's it. And they don't really collect enough information on your product to be able to understand how to do the inspection and how the process is supposed to happen. So one of the things with and so then that you fill out that form, and then essentially they'll email you a bunch of back and forth, sometimes with WhatsApp or WeChat numbers, and they'll basically take that and send it directly to an inspector. And then the inspector will go to the factory, they will do the inspection however they'd like to do the inspection. They'll create a report, and that report gets sent back to you. So it's like basically like a one and done, one size fits all process. The difference with Movley is that we like to think of ourselves, and we basically give you a dedicated quality team. that works with you. So we'll ask you 15 to 20 questions about each of your products. We'll get really dig into your barcodes, your testing processes and things like that. Because we ask you those questions, it's, because we have a process internally to actually ingest all of that information. So when you don't have a process in place, you just ask like one text box, likely those guys are going to miss a lot of those problems anyways, because they don't really have a process in place to ingest that information.
Yeah.
But we take all that information, we store all the product assets in our platform. We'll then find the right inspector on our team to actually go out, do the inspection. Our team will put together a report template, put together all the testing recommendations with our quality engineer. That's actually one thing we need to add on this table. But then our team will actually monitor the inspector in real time over WeChat or WhatsApp, make sure the inspection was done right, there was no problems, they don't run into any issues. And then we take that report when we finally get it, we clean it up, make sure it all makes sense, add in the videos, put it together, and then send it off. So it's a much more involved process. And at the end of the day, we're not going to be the quickest process either, but at the end of the day, you get a much better inspection and we're able to really give you the confidence that your products are going to be good and you're not going to have any issues.
Absolutely. And you said it in your introduction is, you're not just a quality control inspection company, you're a tech company. And, one thing, it's crazy because we've been working with you for such a long time. And back when you were less of a tech company to an extent, now it's evolved into something that is so much easier to manage. I love that you guys have a portal. I love that it's so easy to rebook inspections, that you can save and internalize a lot of our company information because as an entrepreneur, I use Google Drive, but it gets messy in there. So it's super easy to be able to just manage everything with what you guys have. And I truly think you've built something special, and you can just tell the care and the knowledge even more so that you guys have for this process for one, and then for your clients for two. So
yeah, no, really appreciate that. And by the time anyone listening to this video looks at our platform, maybe from the other videos we've done as well, it'll probably be even more evolved from there. I mean, we're making changes going every week. So we're actually just launching our Shopify integration pretty soon. We're launching variation support in our system very soon, like probably in the next week or so. Shopify integration in the next few weeks here, and a lot of other stuff coming up. So we're constantly evolving, constantly getting better, and just making a much better process.
absolutely. Awesome, guys. Well, Sajak, I appreciate the time, man. I know you're busy, and you were able to, again, provide value to our audience. So I'll make a quick little plug here. We're going to put all the contact information, how to get a hold of Movley in order for you guys to get your inspections booked. We'll throw it in the description of this video. And if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. We're going to be posting more valuable content like this, but also releasing bi-weekly, monthly updates in regards to where we're at, and really just uncovering the strategies and tactics that we're using within the Voyaj brand. And if you guys want more email updates, go to ecombb.com, sign up there, and we'll catch you guys on the inside.